So I wanted to spend a little bit of time today going into the different ways of approaching awareness of awareness. And what is awareness of awareness? Really, it's a practice. It's an experience that points toward realization. We're really not looking at a goal so much for the practice as to open up a space for realization. And I heard Adyashanti say this once, and it really stuck with me, that you've either realized your nature or you haven't. It's kind of that simple. It doesn't change your nature whether or not you've realized it. So this all can feel sometimes like a journey to fixing the problem of me. And that feels like what self-help is all about, what so many of us come to this work for. I want to not be like this. I want to be like that. And I want my life to be like this, and I want to feel this, and I want to have this, and I don't want to feel this, and I don't want to have that. And all of those things are perfectly fine. But with these practices, what we're really doing is looking at all of that. So let's talk about the difference between open awareness and opening the aperture of awareness. We'll start with opening the aperture of awareness, taking all of the senses and treating them as one sense. I count 6 senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, thoughts, and smell. So we take all of the senses and we treat them as a sense field. So imagine opening your awareness of the senses to including both the top of your head and the bottoms of your feet, the taste of the inside of your mouth, and the smell of the room that you're sitting in, the sights that are in front of you, and the sounds that are all around you. What happens when you just let it all in? There's not a right and a wrong way to do this. You're not doing it wrong if the mind drifts off into one sense and goes, oh, look, a bird, or ouch, my toe. What we're doing here is coming back as the mind drifts off, because that's what the mind does. The mind is always drifting off. So we can't control that. But what we can do is bring attention back to that open aperture of all of the senses, the sense field. And what exactly is the benefit of this? The senses are the most direct way to the experience of the relative and the absolute. So a way to be with everything that's here now, actually happening in this physical body, and the presence of knowing the field that it's all occurring in. The absolute openness of consciousness of the absolute, where all this is happening. So that's a practice that allows us to deeply embody the senses and to be out in the world. Dogen had a great quote about that. To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by the 10,000 things. So I think that really describes what this open aperture practice does. It goes out into the world using the senses. It connects consciousness to the world around us in this dance of presence that allows the 10,000 things. That's what Dogen was referring to as the world around us. And sometimes the 10,000 things are equated with samsara and suffering. But of course, samsara and suffering is no different than nirvana and the end of suffering. So with this practice, we're bringing awareness out and in at the same time. Open awareness, on the other hand, is more of a Zen practice, more like what's called shikantaza, or natural meditation. And what I find is really beautiful about shikantaza is it's a deep rest. It's like a rest for the body. It's a rest for the senses. It's resting in awareness. So here, what we're doing is letting awareness simply be aware of itself. There's no focus. There's no object. We're not particularly bringing attention to the senses or to any one thing. Simply noticing attention itself. Noticing awareness. Being with the mind as it wanders, and then coming back to that awareness. So it's a gentle, more of an inward focus, let's call it, although there's really no focus at all to shikantaza, which is one of the reasons I think it's also called natural meditation. It's just allowing awareness to be as it is, naturally. So with that practice, I found it to be really, really helpful to use with inquiry. When we're looking to cultivate that realization of who we are, the one that Adyashanti was talking about, that you've either realized your nature or you haven't, shikantaza can be a really nice way to approach the preparation and taking a break from that inquiry into who am I. I would sit with that question of who am I, and then allow the rest of shikantaza to just settle all of that, what felt like it was this churning almost, to kind of let there was so much going through. Who am I gave a lot of different answers before it gave an answer that wasn't an answer. That was a realization. And that process can be very confusing. It can be exhausting. It can be exhilarating. But I found that by going back and forth in practice with shikantaza and inquiry, that there was a way of balancing the stirring up with a settling down.